Class of 1967, CBA faculty and staff, parents, friends, and families of graduates, and the Christian Brothers Academy Class of 2017. Harmony. It's not about what's lasting or permanent. It's about individual voices coming together for a moment, and that moment lasts the length of a breath. This quote comes from Francis Underwood on the Netflix original House of Cards, which I binge-watched in the time I should have worked on this speech. Underwood may have a terrible character, but he is driven, dedicated, and gives a solid commentary on harmony. That beautiful, resonating sound that comes from different, unique voices coming together to make something new, if only for a short time. The class of 2017's time together was not lasting or permanent, but it was about individual lives coming together for a moment which lasted the length of a 6-year-long breath. Early on in our CBA careers, harmony was far from the state of our class. There were many times of dissonance and cacophony, with the voices not meshing in the slightest. 130 teenagers of separate backgrounds, families, and histories do not magically come together and blend immediately. In 7th grade, we all sang in separate keys and pitches or played completely separate instruments. Eventually, as the months rolled past, we discovered that we weren't alone in our musical stylings. By 8th grade, we started to find similar instruments to our own. Suddenly, we found there were 7 violins, 18 kazoos, 4 vuvuzelas, 6 sopranos, 8 tenors, 15 altos, 2 basses, 12 flutes, 11 saxophones, 14 drums, 20 trumpets, 8 clarinets, and 5 guitars. My junior high persona can best be exemplified by a clarinet. When I first came to CBA, I was shy and quiet, deathly afraid of any sort of public speaking, and even hesitated to raise my hand to give an answer in class. During the 8th grade career fair, my presentation resulted in a choked-up stutter with a dab of tears, and my voice mimicked the sound of a clarinet squeaking out notes. Through that limbo that is 9th and 10th grade, we began to form into the larger sections of an orchestra. The singers started to get to know one another, and the trombones met up with the trumpets, and the drums and the vuvuzelas and the kazoos realized that they are all loud and proud, so they got together. The guitars and the violins gathered in the string section and strummed out some sweet tunes. In the meantime, some of us were just learning how to play our instrument. Some of us came in with a flute, but then we heard the call of the vuvuzela and we switched it up. Some of us still hadn't found our instrument by 10th or 11th grade. But as we entered our senior year, it finally all came together. Sure, there were times of dissonance where our instruments didn't blend in the slightest, but at times we clicked. The kazoos and the flutes and the guitars all played the same tune. We heard that harmony at football games when we all cheered together. We also heard it in the gym early in the morning as we prayed for our classmate Brian. It all came together at the musical, with the performance and the support of classmates forming a beautiful tapestry. Now, the live performance is over, and sadly, there can be no encore. The curtain will close, and our time at CBA will be over, but that does not mean that we had no impact on this community. We have left the Academy with our songs and albums, although we'll take those instruments we became with us. These recordings we leave behind can be played and replayed for years to come. We leave 6 studio albums, 1 for every year spent at CBA, and 7 if you include the class of 2017's greatest hits. Let's run through our greatest hits. Only the future will tell us what traditions we were able to create in our time at CBA, but I do have some ideas. We've got the Wessalian Stallion, which we hope will live on as the CBA mascot. Marissa Purrier created the Neuroscience Club which she founded out of her love of grains and which should grow for years to come. TJ LaDuca's Snow Day plea email to Mr. Kia, which garnered some 200 retweets, several copycats, and at least one snow day, could be cause for repetition. Brothers News Network emerged this year thanks to the contributions of Jill Henson, Maddie Henson, Clay Jarvis, Jack Carpenter, and Matt Graber. Jack Sheridan of the class of 2017 has inspired and continues to inspire thousands with his story of strength and recovery. I personally hope that future free periods will follow the footsteps of the 15 seniors who decided to head to Olive Garden in formal attire on the final free last period. In the end, however, it doesn't matter whether you had a direct impact on these actions, which I see as future tradition, because everyone in the class contributed in some way. We all created an environment in which Brian felt it was normal to throw on AJ's horse head and a cape and run around at sporting events. Clearly, our performance may be over, but the impact will live on for years. As you leave here today, you may never look back at your CBA years again, but please try to understand the impact that you had. My life has changed dramatically just by playing in the same orchestra as all of you. The advice I leave you all with is to play that instrument which you have found brazenly and without apology. Practice makes perfect. If you change your tune and adjust it to your environment, then you'll always be one step behind and trying to catch up, still learning it as you go. Let those around you adjust and keep being you. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. famously said, "If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, 'Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well.' Whether you are a didgeridoo, a flute, a kazoo, or you don't get what all these instrument metaphors mean and you're just a kid waiting to graduate, be the best instrument of God, of love, and of life that the heavens and earth have ever seen." Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary.